Everybody ready?
A1.
Okay. And I've got it so if you sit back, you're fine. You can stand. You can whatever's most comfortable for you. So.
Got 30 minutes. So
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Good.
Once you start talking, it'll go fast.
Okay.
It'll go fast. Good afternoon.
Top of the afternoon to you.
My name is Dr. Rashnice Candy Tate. I'm with the Atlanta branch of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. I'm also a professor at Atlanta Metropolitan College. And we're here today with...
Christopher. My name is Christopher McCrary.
And you're...
And I attend Atlanta Metropolitan College as well.
Okay. And today is Saturday, March 5th, 2016. And we're in Fairburn, Georgia. Thank you. And let us know who you are.
I am Marvin Gibson, a former veteran from the Air Force.
Wonderful.
I served.
And we're going to ask you all of that in just a second. So, Chris, you're going to get us started.
All right. Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. And yourself?
All right. I'm doing well. All right. We're going to get started by saying where and when were you born?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York, 1970. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, 1979.
Okay. Who?
What month and day?
I'm sorry. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, January 22nd, 1979. In Crown Heights, Brooklyn.
Okay. Who are your parents and where were their occupations?
Okay, my parents, my father was Marvin Gibson. He was a detective for Port Authority in New York. Okay. My mom was a textilist for J.C.Penney. Okay. She retired from J.C.Penney, and after that she got with the school board down in a small little country town called Hinesville, Georgia, which she's also at Fort Stewart, another military base as well. And that's where she actually is today.
Okay, swell.
Where?
Whenever you want to chime. Who are your siblings? Name and genders. Which, if any, served in the military?
Yes. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters.
Okay.
I'm going to name the first one Tanya Harris. She's who introduced me to the Air Force. It's because of her that I even joined. What happened was, okay, can I be honest with you? All right, I don't want this to be ruled out, but this is just the honest truth. Okay, it's my testimony and everybody has it.
All right.
Coming here from Brooklyn, New York, I wasn't used to the way of life that Georgia was presenting to me at the time. I was, nice with the ladies, but in New York, you had to really have money to get the right ladies that you would want. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I had a full ride to Penn State football scholarship. Okay, I didn't take the full ride to Penn State. I took a partial scholarship to go to Georgia Tech because my cousin told me there was a party going on called Freaknik in 1996, and cuz you're gonna love it. And I was like, what? Never that. I was like, not me. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna do the country thing. I'm Brooklyn all day, every day type of thing. He was like, cuz I'm telling you, man, it's changed my life. I'm not coming back. I'm like, what? I'm like, cuz this is where we born and raised. What do you mean? I'm like, you telling me Atlanta is all that? I'm like, man, ain't no way. Ain't no way.
So what made you move down here?
Let me finish. So after Freaknik made me move down here, let me tell you. So after Freaknik happened, needless to say, I did not finish at Georgia Tech. Okay, after I washed out from partying too much.
And what year was this?
This was 1997. Okay. 1996 is when he invited me down for the party called Freaknik. And it was all downhill until my older sister called me. I just washed out of Georgia Tech. Didn't do anything in my life. I didn't know what I was going to do. Lost my scholarship partying too much. What am I going to tell my mom? She done sent me down here to go to college, and I done flunked out, got injured, bust out my knee. And my sister was like, man, there's nothing wrong with your knee. You can't play football, but you're walking, you're running, you're perfectly fine. You're still playing basketball every weekend. She said, hey, look, I'm in the Air Force. Come join. It'll be the thing that's going to change your life. And it was. It humbled me a lot. Basic training was rough, but and that was at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. But I made it through, and it really humbled me. It was a humbling experience.
Okay.
And before you move on, were both of your parents
Oh, let me finish.
from? Okay, I'm sorry. Go
Okay,
ahead.
my mom is from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
Born and raised. She was a textilist for JCPenney. Now she works for the school board down at Fort Stewart, and that's in Hinesville, Georgia. She's from born and raised in Brooklyn, Crown Heights as well. My father is from Harlem, New York. He's from 118th and Lexington, Lincoln Projects. That's how it worked for me. Growing up, I'd be in Harlem on the weekends, in Brooklyn during the week. They would rotate back and forth, whatever the situation. He was a detective for the Port Authority.
Okay.
Up there.
So, what was the impetus for coming south?
Okay, came down here after to go to football was the original thing.
For you, but I'm
For
saying
me.
for your parents.
They didn't come down here.
Okay.
They're
I was
now.
thinking
My
afterwards.
mom is down here now. My dad passed
All right. Gotcha.
after 9/11.
All right.
So, yeah, it's a whole nother touchy subject. But, yeah. Anything else about my parents?
I think we're clear. And then the siblings, we got the
Okay.
oldest, or we got
The
one.
oldest, the one who introduced me to the Air
Mhm.
Force. That's why I was mentioning that whole story. She's the one who introduced me to the Air Force, and
Okay.
her and her husband are in the Air Force.
And which branch of the military did you serve?
I was also in the Air Force as well.
Okay.
My youngest sister, she's a dental assistant, Joy. And my middle brother, he's younger than me. Both of my brothers are younger than me, but it's the one in between. As far as the boys. He works for the police department up in, he's in the Bronx as well, Gun Hill, New York. Let me look over here. He's in Gun Hill, New York. And he works for the police department out there. My youngest brother, he is a government contracting. And I mean, I was doing that, and I just got out of it. I used to do work for FEMA and things of that nature when there's a natural disaster. Because I had the military background, these are the things I had the opportunity to join.
And we got your sister Tanya's name, and then you said younger brothers, but do we?
Oh, my younger brother,
share
Kai
their name.
Gibson. Kai Gibson, he works for the police department, the NYPD, I believe. J.D. Gibson, he works for, I believe, Jan Pro. It's a contract cleaning facility. He does contract cleaning.
So when they blow up and become famous, you know, their names were.
Right, it was here first. I got it.
It was here first.
Okay. What happened when you departed for training camp and during your early days of training?
Basic training was, it was rough times.
Okay.
Because it was a shock. It throws you right out there, and you know, you got, back when I did it in the 90s.
Well, what shocked you?
Let me tell you, back in the 90s, you know, we really had drill sergeants. Okay, they can get in your face, they can tell you drop and do 1,000,000 push-ups.
Do you remember their names?
Yeah, I never forget. Senior Airman Senior and Sergeant Patton were some of the toughest dudes out there. And there was another dude. I want to say his name was Sergeant Barbosa or Dubosa, one of the two Spanish dudes.
Okay.
Man, when I tell you, he used to rip everybody apart. He was cool with me. I was too cool for that. You know?
Can you explain that? What's ripping apart?
Getting in your face.
Okay.
Like, you know, if you're smirking, there's no smirks. Like, it's...
Right. Straight face.
Aaron, straighten up! Oh my God, Aaron, get out and give me 100! You know what I mean? It's one of those type of environments.
Right.
Like, you gotta... They tell you to, you know, do an about face. You gotta do an about face on point. Your facial hair, you can't have any. Your mustache has to be before the corner of your lip. And your sideburns can't go past your earlobe.
So how often did you shave?
Every day. And then I had a shaving waiver
Mm-hmm.
because my face got sensitive and I had started getting bumps.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to have like the little dark shadow.
Okay.
So I would trim it down real low and just have a dark shadow.
Okay.
I was able to do that. They didn't like when I trimmed it up though and got it lined nice.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like all part of uniform.
Correct.
Yeah.
How did you receive any specialized training? If so, what?
One of the specialized training I got was marksmanship. You know, we go out and we test with all guns,
Mm-hmm.
and depending on how you do, you get a medal for it. Like I got marksmanship, and that was because growing up, my dad, he was a officer, so he would teach me little things like how to shoot and how to aim and things of that nature.
Okay, well, how many medals did you receive?
3.
3?
Yes.
Okay.
It was
Great.
marksmanship was one of them. It wasn't a medal of honor, but it was a medal of bravery for the Kosovo skirmish. That was one, and the other one was just camaraderie with the troops at 323 Training Squad, and that was in Keesler, Mississippi.
So I just wanted to slow us down a little bit and go back to, you said you got to the Air Force through your
Correct.
sister.
Correct.
But,
she introduced me to it. After I washed out of football
mm-hmm.
at Georgia Tech, my options were no longer available because I wasn't the superstar that I first came down here to be.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister told me, she was like, look, something called the Air Force. I think it'll work out for you. You're a good kid. You should try it out. And I was like, oh, well, I want to be a Marine, I don't want to drive planes. That's what I thought the Air Force was.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, let me tell you. The Air Force is, no offense to no other branch, the Air Force is where most of the smart people go. And it's real laid back. And you sit behind a computer most of the time. And I was like, I ain't going to be driving planes. She was like, no, I promise. Unless you want to. She was like, 90% of the jobs aren't driving any plane whatsoever. So I was like, sign me up. And then she said, there's also ladies, so of course.
And we sped up to that like it was nothing, but you got a full scholarship for football, and you were at Georgia Tech.
Correct.
So you obviously were smart in high school. So
I was in high school. I was very
talented,
highly recruited for football and basketball.
Okay.
And basketball, I had a lot of D2 schools. Football, I had a lot of Division I schools. Like Penn State, I had a full ride. And I really, to this day, like, even though they had that whole Sandusky flop over there, and I probably would have met that dude, which is crazy situation. But anyway, pray for the whole family in that situation. But it was just, it would have been better for me. Penn State was more no parties, hit these books, go do your work. When I came out here to Georgia, it was, man, you ever been down on Peachtree? We hitting Club 112. It was like, man, this is new to me.
The cruising.
Right. I mean, it was a party on the streets. And I wasn't exposed to that in New York. We had block parties on certain occasions and certain events.
Mm-hmm.
But to just come outside after work, like, yeah, we just going to chill right here. Everybody's playing music. Everybody's walking by. It's a big party. And as much as I enjoyed it, it cost me a lot.
Yeah, right. And I'm going to back us up just one, and then I'm going to let you go with the story. But then how was it with your parents and being in Brooklyn and having, is it 4 or 5?
2 brothers, 2 sisters.
So 5 altogether, right. 5 kids.
Growing up in Brooklyn was rough. And we also lived with my uncle. He didn't have any kids. And this is all in Brooklyn. This is my 2 situations I'm about to show you. My uncle, my aunt, and her crazy boyfriend. He was a Jamaican dude. And we all lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, New York. Growing up. Crown Heights, Rogers and Montgomery. And that would be my Monday through Friday, pretty much 1-2. I would sleep on a pull-out couch with me and my sisters. Brothers would be on the floor, wherever they can, in a chair, wherever they can cop a swat. A pallet on the floor. It is what it is. Now, my dad's situation was totally different. I would go see him on weekends, but it would just be, me and him until the younger siblings came along. So that's all. He would be in Harlem. That would be pretty cool. Oh, something I didn't tell you. My uncle, I don't know if you ever heard of the group Rob Bass and Easy Rock. Like, I'm in that video dancing in the front of it, in the corner. You'll see my uncles, like, these are the dudes I grew up with. They raised me. So, like, a young dude growing up and coming to see my dad, my uncles were, Rob Bass and Easy Rock. So these dudes were in the living room. These were just dudes that I grew up with. And they, like, introduced me to hip-hop. So it was pretty deep.
So, no car, all of this was like going to Harlem, for us who are here in the South, that's, the MARTA and New York's transportation.
Oh yeah,
totally different. So you
train,
just get on the
bus,
train and go.
walk. I mean, however you can. We
And
didn't
at
have
that,
many
you were what age
vehicles.
when you're doing this?
I'm young. I mean, I've been traveling on a bus, train, walking since I was about 7, 8. It's different up there, and it was a different time then.
Yeah.
You know, if you were lost, people would guide you the right way.
Not put you in the trunk.
Exactly. You know, everybody knew everybody. I could be on the other side of town, and a cousin, aunt, uncle, or whoever would be like, "What you doing over here?" You know. But one thing I can say, I don't know if it was just how poor my family was, but many of us didn't have cars. Not till I got a little older, till I was about 12, did uncles and aunts start really pushing whips. Grandparents had a car back in the day. Like back in I'm 79 baby, so I want to say, you know, early 80s, everybody was walking, you know, and it was bus and train everywhere. Then when Jerry curls were popular, I want to say like late 80s, is when we started getting cars, and the Caprices were big then. I think they're big in the South now, but worldwide back in the 80s, they were everybody's car.
Okay. So you got a better feel for who Marvin is.
Nice.
Okay, so how did you adapt to military life, including the physical regiment, barracks, food, and social life?
Adapting was hard, and
How so?
the reason why I say it was hard, because for me, I was used to you know, growing up in Brooklyn, we would have a lot of family time. Okay, and then after that, I was in, you know, sports. It would be family-oriented type of environment. And in the military, even though it's one big family, you're also separated, you know, from your personal family. So, for example, you know, I may be in Kosovo for 6 months, you know, and my family is still back home functioning. You know what I mean? Like that, I think, took a big part into my first divorce, unfortunately, in the military. But yeah, those things are things that, you know, make or break you. Because you're out there, you go in different places, you shipped all across the country, shipped to war, whatever the case may be. And what was the original question? I'm just babbling there.
How did you adapt to military
Okay,
life?
adapting. I think it was a do or die type of situation.
Okay.
And, you know, adapting was just a way of life. It was either, you know, get rich or die trying, you know what I mean? Trying to make it out the concrete jungle.
More of a
I mean,
hustle?
not really a hustle, more of a, hey, it's either, you know, now or never, what you gonna do? You know, a lot of people I grew up with ain't here. You know, I can't name 10 dudes in my high school class. That's crazy. 10. That ain't a lot. I can't name 10.
Because of being back home in Brooklyn and
It was just,
Right.
it was rough growing up, you know. Crack hit the streets, it was rough. A lot of my dudes also in sort of in gangs when, you know, that was first introduced. The streets, not being able to, you know, survive after. But anyway, the military really helped me because it humbled me. You know, I was sort of a loose cannon. Went from Brooklyn to down here in party land. Then the military sort of was like that, okay, straighten up. It's time to, you know, you're a grown man now. You got, you know, things to live for. And it was a good and bad things. The one first, how can I put it? The one first reality of life that hit me was when I was single. At first, the party life was fun. I was used to that. And then after about a year or two, you start seeing all these dudes, when it's time to go home, they go home to families. His family's holding up the flag and, oh, we missed you. You know, my family was, everybody busy, they working. They're like, oh, you coming back? Oh man, when you get here, we're gonna turn up. They ain't say turn up back then, but you know.
Right.
It's gonna be a great gathering, you know, whatever they would say back then. But anyway.
So did you feel you wasn't supported by your family or friends?
I was supported, but not like, see, dudes at the time, when you're single in the military, and you come home to a family. Wife, kids, you know, like that's the good thing about the military. Like when you're in the military and you have a wife and kids come home to, it like sort of gives you that drive when you're out there sometimes.
Okay.
Opposed to being a single dude who's, every time it's time for you to come home, you're hitting the single bars. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You go back into that college single life type of You
It's
know,
a different culture.
exactly.
Did you have
Totally
any
culture.
single buddies that you hung out with?
Oh yeah, every day. I began drinking heavily.
Okay.
You know,
How many were there?
we would hang in cliques. I want to say 15, 20 of us
Okay,
at a
so a
time.
good number. All right.
You know, because we were all cool. We all went through basic training together, and you start building rapport, depending on where you go, depending on what your job title was. And I was in SATCOM, Satellite Communications and Electronic Principles.
That's what you served.
No, that's my class, my
Your
rank.
specialization or
Exactly.
rank. You said SATCOM.
SATCOM and Electronic Principles. Satellite Communications is what SATCOM is for.
So how was
So-
it? Say we're both like.
Mm-hmm.
Remind me where you did your basic training. It was in the
Latin.
South in Texas.
Yes.
Yes.
San
So-
Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio, Texas. So Brooklyn to Texas.
Brooklyn, Georgia to Texas.
Brooklyn, Georgia. So
Texas was another culture shock. A lot of Mexicans, no offense to nobody. Introduced me to a different culture out there.
How so?
Because it was the South. And I don't know if you know about Texas, but it was like a different type of South.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Paul Walls, and I forget the Slim Thugs, and Mike Jones, and
A lot of big rims back then.
yeah, and the gold diamond grills back then. You know, they was big on that type of thing. Someone, I think I forget the white dude's name. Might have been Paul Wall or something like that.
Currently artist.
Yeah, he's currently some now what do they call it? Old school hip hop Southern artist now, but
Okay.
you know, growing up, these dudes, this is what was popping back then when I was in the military. Reason why I brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was used to all the up north stuff. Then I came to the South, and it was the Outcasts, Goody Mobs, the Dungeon Families. You know, what I mean, that was my culture. That's what I grew up in. I went from Pac and Big to Outcasts and Goody Mob. You know, like that's
103,000.
that's Outcasts. You feel me? So 3 stacks. But like that's what I grew up in. And coming from where I come from in Brooklyn, like I said during the week, you know, I'm listening to some of the hip hop heads, and then on the weekends I'm hanging out with Bismarck or Dougie Fresh or Slick Rick or DJ Red Alert. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be into the next video because my uncle like, hey man, where you gonna be at? All right, we're gonna be over here in this. All right, we're shooting a video. You better come out.
Okay.
You know, so that was my life. Uncles who were supposed to be watching me, love them to death. Uncle Terrell, Narell, Rob, rest in peace, Easy Rock.
Okay. So where did you serve?
let's ask him because we didn't go over. So we talked about social life, food, and barracks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the food on the barracks was actually really good. The chefs in the kitchen, shout out to them. They held it down.
Do you remember any names?
Bagley, Sergeant Bagley. He was good people's, man. He would always hook me up, and then we actually started bumping into each other at the clubs.
Do you still talk to him today?
When I was on Facebook, I just got off Facebook. I had some issues, some hacking issues.
Okay, understandable.
But yeah, I reached out to him recently. It was about a month or so ago.
So he made Mom proud. What was the meal? Do you remember?
That made Mom proud.
Or
That I made.